Welcome to Zoe Stories. Caught by my ex, cross-dressing secrets revealed. The rain tapped lightly against the window pane, a rhythmic reminder of the storm outside, and somehow, of the storm brewing inside me. I glanced at my reflection in the mirror, a face I knew intimately, yet tonight it seemed almost foreign. My chest tightened, not from the chill in the air, but from the secret I had carried for years, hidden beneath layers of ordinary clothing, an identity whispered only to myself. My name is Alex, and for as long as I can remember, cross-dressing has been more than a curiosity. It's been a lifeline, a form of expression, release, and, lately, a dangerous indulgence. By day, I lived as a regular guy, working at a small digital marketing firm downtown. The job was mundane, the kind that demanded focus but offered little excitement. My colleagues knew me as quiet, diligent, maybe a little awkward. Yet behind the closed doors of my apartment, my world transformed. It was here, in this dimly lit sanctuary, that I became Alexandra, or at least the version of her I allowed myself to be. Cross-dressing for me wasn't about deception. It was a necessity, a secret I needed to explore, even if only in the safety of my apartment. The silky textures, the carefully chosen colors, the thrill of mascara brushing against my eyelashes, all of it combined into a sense of freedom I could never find as Alex. I could feel her presence as soon as I stepped into the clothes, the persona forming like a second skin. It was intoxicating, exhilarating, and terrifying all at once. And tonight was different. Tonight, my sanctuary felt fragile, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. I had been cautious for years, making sure no one could ever discover this side of me. But one text, one unexpected message from Isabella, could shatter everything. Isabella. The name alone made my pulse quicken. She was everything I loved and feared, a presence both comforting and suffocating. We'd met 2 years ago at a coffee shop, her laughter catching me off guard, her confidence drawing me in. She knew me as Alex, of course. She didn't know about Alexandra, the side of me I feared would make her recoil, or worse, laugh. Our relationship had been passionate, tender, but like all things in my life, it had its fragile moments. Every touch, every shared smile, carried the unspoken weight of my secret. And now, that weight pressed down harder than ever. I moved to the corner of the room where my wardrobe stood, a curated chaos of fabrics, colors, and accessories. Tonight, I had promised myself something special, a full transformation, an experiment in confidence and allure. I ran my fingers along a deep burgundy dress, feeling the soft texture, imagining the way it would hug my body. Shoes, heels that I could barely walk in, were lined neatly beside the rack. The lipstick, the eyeshadow, the wig, they all waited, silent accomplices in my little ritual of transformation. As I began, I felt the familiar mixture of thrill and anxiety. The first layer of stockings slid up my legs, smooth and constricting. I tugged at the corset gently, feeling it mold around me, accentuating the curves I had always imagined for myself. The dress followed, the silky fabric brushing against my arms, reminding me how delicate and vulnerable I felt. Each movement brought a shiver of excitement and fear. The mirror reflected a stranger, yet one I recognized, Alexandra staring back, poised yet trembling with the knowledge of her secret. It wasn't just about the physical transformation. Each brushstroke of makeup, every flick of eyeliner, was a step deeper into a world I rarely let myself inhabit. There was a thrill in the meticulousness, in watching the persona emerge with each careful touch. But with it came a gnawing fear. What if Isabella, or anyone else, walked in at this very moment? Would they understand, accept, or judge? My heart raced at the thought, threatening to betray me. And then, a soft ping from my phone broke the rhythm of the night. A message from her. Hey, just checking in. Be home soon. My stomach dropped. Be home soon. Those words were harmless on the surface, but for me, they were a warning siren. I had always imagined this moment, feared it, and yet it had finally arrived. There was no turning back. I had to finish, To stand fully as Alexandra, while keeping the shadow of Alex intact, just in case the world, or Isabella, knocked on my door. I stole a glance at the clock. 30 minutes before she arrived. 30 minutes to perfect the illusion, to embrace the thrill without being discovered. My mind raced, toggling between fear and exhilaration. The air felt thicker now, charged with anticipation. Every rustle of fabric, every click of the high heels as I practiced walking, reminded me of the fine line I was walking between pleasure and peril. In that moment, I realized something. This wasn't just about clothes or makeup. This was about identity, desire, and the fragility of secrets. For years, I had navigated my dual life, balancing Alex and Alexandra like a tightrope walker. But tonight, that rope felt thinner, swaying dangerously with every passing second. And as the rain tapped against the window, echoing my racing heart, I couldn't shake the thought that soon, everything might unravel. Because in the world I lived in, the most thrilling part of crossdressing was never the transformation itself. It was the danger of being caught. And tonight, danger had arrived in the form of a simple text from the one person who held my heart, and perhaps the power to shatter it. The room was quiet, but inside me, a storm was brewing. My apartment, normally a safe haven, now felt like a stage where the line between thrill and danger blurred. I stared at the mirror, tracing the contours of Alex's face, imagining how Alexandra would emerge beneath the surface. Tonight wasn't just another evening of indulgence, it was a test of courage. I moved slowly toward my wardrobe, the fabrics whispering secrets as I sifted through them. My fingers paused on a deep navy dress, soft to the touch, with a hemline that promised elegance and vulnerability at the same time. Picking it up, I felt a flutter of excitement mixed with a pang of fear. This dress had been saved for a special night, a night when I dared to fully step into Alexandra. And tonight, with Isabella potentially returning early, it was the perfect moment to push boundaries. I started with the stockings, sliding them up my legs. The sensation was electric, constricting in the most intimate way. I tugged at the waistband, making sure it sat perfectly, every detail contributing to the illusion I was about to create. Then came the corset, a piece that both shaped and symbolized the duality of my life. As I laced it tightly, I felt Alexandra tightening around me, her presence growing stronger, more commanding. Alex receded slightly, a shadow of who I was meant to appear to the world. Next, the dress followed. I stepped into it slowly, letting the fabric cascade over my form, feeling it mold against the curves that Alex had always hidden. The mirror reflected a stranger, familiar yet entirely new. Alexandra's gaze met mine, bold yet trembling with anticipation. Each movement brought both confidence and anxiety. I was stepping into a persona that could be celebrated or condemned, and the thrill of that risk was intoxicating. The final touches were the accessories. Earrings that caught the dim light of my desk lamp, a delicate bracelet that jingled softly with every movement. Each piece was deliberate, enhancing the illusion, each detail a step deeper into my secret world. I looked down at the heels, the final challenge of the transformation. Balancing in them would require concentration, skill, and patience, but the reward, the completion of Alexandra, was worth it. As I stepped into the heels, I felt an immediate shift. Alexandra was no longer a whisper of imagination. She was alive, walking through the apartment with a grace that Alex could never claim. My reflection in the mirror became a thrill and a warning, a reminder that this identity, though liberating, was also fragile. Each step echoed in the silent room, a rhythmic drumbeat that reminded me of the impending danger, Isabella's return. I paused, taking a deep breath, trying to steady my racing heart. The thrill of crossdressing had always been a private joy, a world in which I could exist without judgment. But now, the risk of exposure added a new intensity. My mind raced through every possible scenario. What if she walked in now? Would she understand, accept, or be horrified? The tension was delicious, like standing on the edge of a cliff, knowing that one wrong move could send everything tumbling. I practiced walking across the room, testing balance and posture. Alexandra's movements were fluid, elegant, but each step brought an awareness of vulnerability. The dress clung in all the right places, the heels amplified the sway of my hips, and the mirror confirmed the transformation. But beneath the surface, a quiet panic simmered. Time was slipping away, and Isabella's presence loomed like a shadow at the edge of the door. Then I caught sight of my phone. The screen lit up again, a small ping, simple, yet it sent my heart racing. Another message from her. Traffic is lighter than expected, might be home earlier. My stomach dropped. This was no longer a rehearsal. The danger was immediate. I was fully Alexandra now, yet Alex had to remain ready in case she came through the door. The duality pressed down on me, heavier with every passing second. I turned back to the mirror, studying every detail. The makeup was perfect, foundation smooth, eyeliner precise, lips a daring shade that challenged me to own this persona. The wig framed my face exactly how I wanted, hiding Alex yet highlighting Alexandra. But the thrill came with the awareness that one sound from the hallway, one unlocked door, could unravel everything. The adrenaline surged, mingling with desire, fear, and anticipation. For a brief moment, I let myself revel in the power of transformation. Alexandra's presence was intoxicating, empowering, and liberating. And yet, the shadow of exposure lurked behind every corner, reminding me that this secret life, while thrilling, was also precarious. Tonight, I realized, would be a turning point, not just in my life as Alex, but in my journey as Alexandra. The rain softened, but my heartbeat didn't. It pounded against my ribs like a warning I refused to listen to. Alexandra stood in front of the full-length mirror, trying to breathe normally, trying to pretend that this moment was hers to enjoy. But behind the beauty, behind the elegance, there was a storm even greater than the one outside. For a few seconds, I allowed myself to stare, really stare, at the woman I had become. The dress clung perfectly. The stockings hugged my legs. The heels pushed my posture into something confident, almost commanding. My hair, her hair, fell in soft waves across my shoulders. Alexandra wasn't just an outfit anymore. She wasn't a game. She wasn't even a fantasy. She was me, or at least the version of me I wished I had the courage to live as. But with that realization came a punch of fear so sharp it nearly knocked me back into Alex's reality. Because loving this version of myself meant risking everything else. I placed one hand on the mirror, fingers trembling against the cool glass. "What am I doing?" I whispered, though the answer was already there, reflected in the woman staring back at me. I was exploring. I was expressing. I was daring. I was alive. But this aliveness came with shadows attached, shadows shaped like secrets and consequences. And the biggest shadow of all was Isabella. Isabella, the woman I once thought would understand everything about me. The woman who walked away when things got complicated. The woman who, right this moment, could walk through my front door unannounced. My phone buzzed again. Not a message this time, just a notification. But the vibration still made the breath catch in my throat. My painted lips parted slightly, trembling. Why did even the smallest sound terrify me tonight? I turned sharply toward the bedroom door, convinced I heard footsteps outside the apartment. I held still, silent, frozen, nothing, just the thrum of rain on the balcony rail. But in that moment of fear, I realized something terrifying. I didn't want to take Alexandra off. Not tonight. Not with the risk. Not even with Isabella's return hanging over me like a blade. Tonight, Alexandra felt necessary. She was the version of me that wasn't ashamed, wasn't hiding, wasn't pretending. But Alex, the Alex the world expected, was still there, panicking underneath the mascara. I turned back to the mirror again. This time, I didn't see confidence. I saw conflict. My reflection wasn't just beautiful, it was dangerous. The more I embraced Alexandra, the harder it became to imagine going back. There was something magnetic about her presence. My heart raced not just from fear, but from desire. a desire to stay like this, a desire to keep the illusion alive a little longer, a desire to feel seen, even when no one was here to look at me. But then came the guilt. What would Isabella think if she walked in? Would she be disgusted? Confused? Would she laugh? Would she be angry? Would she pity me? The worst possibility wasn't that she'd break up with me again. It was that she would look at Alexandra and not understand who she was. Or worse, understand perfectly and still reject her. I sank onto the edge of the bed, careful not to wrinkle the dress. My heels tapped lightly against the floor, a soft, rhythmic reminder that I was playing a dangerous game. The sound was hypnotic. Tap, tap, tap. Each tap felt like a countdown. I reached for my phone again, checking Isabella's last message. Traffic is light. Might be home earlier. 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 The word echoed in my mind like a threat. I should have stripped everything off. Should have wiped away the makeup. Should have hidden the dress. Should have shoved the wig back into the drawer. But I didn't. Instead, I stood up again slowly, deliberately, and walked back toward the mirror. Alex was scared. But Alexandra? Alexandra was fearless. I tilted my chin slightly, practicing a soft feminine expression. I adjusted the wig, smoothing the strands that fell over my cheek. I even traced the shape of my lips gently, admiring how the lipstick made them fuller. A tear formed in the corner of my eye, not from sadness, but from the emotional overload crashing inside me. This wasn't just dress-up. This wasn't just escapism. This wasn't just thrill. This was identity cracking open like a secret egg. Alexandra wanted out. Alexandra wanted more. Alexandra wanted to breathe without hiding. But the doorknob of reality twisted tighter around that freedom with every passing second. I walked toward the living room, heels clicking sharply, echoing through the empty apartment. Every sound I made terrified me, yet excited me. Each step was a rebellion. The living room window reflected my silhouette, womanly, soft, graceful. It was surreal. For a moment, I imagined the world seeing me like this. Shopping, walking, smiling, existing. Then, thud. A sound from the hallway. A real sound. My heart stopped. Footsteps. Close. Slow. Approaching my door. My entire body went cold and hot at the same time. Alexandra stiffened, paralyzed. Alex screamed underneath her skin. Was Isabella back already? Was she standing outside right now? Was I seconds away from being caught? I tiptoed toward the door, every muscle tight, every nerve pulled like a live wire. The footsteps stopped right outside. Silence. A suspense so thick I could taste it. My breath hitched. My hand froze halfway to the doorknob. And then, something slid under the door. Slowly. Deliberately. A rectangle-shaped object. A jolt ran through me. What was that? A letter? A note? A warning? I stared at the object, terrified to pick it up. Because, whatever it was, it meant someone had been right outside my door. Someone had stood there long enough to leave something. Someone who might have heard my heels. Someone who might have seen my shadow beneath the door. My throat tightened. Please no, I whispered. But deep down I knew the truth. This was only the beginning. For a full 5 seconds I didn't move. Couldn't move. The object lying on the floor, half underneath the door, half inside my apartment, felt like a venomous snake. Small, silent, but carrying a danger that froze my blood. My heels wobbled as I slowly crouched down, my dress tightening around my waist as I reached trembling fingers toward the mystery. Alexandra's poise was gone. Alex, the terrified version of me, had taken over again. My fingertips brushed the edge of the object. Not paper. Not a letter. Plastic. A photograph? My stomach turned. I dragged it the rest of the way inside and flipped it over with a trembling hand. The air left my lungs. It was a photograph. Of me. But not Alexandra. Not tonight. This was from months ago. At a cafe. With Isabella. Taken from behind. Uncomfortably close. Like someone had been sitting just one table away watching. My vision blurred for a moment, my knees growing weak. Who took this? Why leave it now? Why slide it under my door? My mind raced, panic forming a knot in my throat so tight I could barely breathe. This wasn't just suspense anymore. It was danger. Real danger. A noise echoed through the hallway again. A soft creak, like someone shifting their weight. Still there? Still listening? My pulse hammered violently as I rushed back from the door, heels clacking uncontrollably against the floor like alarm bells. For a moment, I forgot everything. My dress, my wig, the lipstick. I just needed distance from the door, from the unknown. I stood in the middle of the living room, clutching the photograph. My painted nails, a soft shimmering pink, shook as I held the picture tighter. Think, Alex, think, I whispered, voice trembling. Who would follow me? Who would know where I lived? Who would care enough to take a photo and deliver it without showing their face? A cruel thought slithered into my mind. Was it Isabella? No, she wouldn't stalk me. She was angry after our breakup, but not unhinged. But then again, she did know every turn of my routine. She did know this apartment, and she was the only one who knew the deeper fractures inside me. But then another thought struck me harder. This picture was taken long before we broke up. So whoever did this had been watching even earlier. A shiver raced across my back. I paced through the apartment, my heels echoing like nervous heartbeats. Every step reminded me how vulnerable I was right now. A man dressed as a woman, terrified, confused, shaking, hiding behind mascara and silk. Alex was drowning. Alexandra was fighting to stay composed. And neither of them could make sense of what was happening. I placed the photograph on the table and leaned in closer. It was grainy, a rushed shot. But something in the left corner caught my eye. A reflection. Not mine. Not Isabella's. Someone holding a phone. A shadowy outline of a face I didn't recognize. A stranger. My nails scraped lightly against the table as panic tightened around my chest. I backed away, needing air. The window. I needed to breathe. I walked toward it, pulling the curtains slightly aside, praying I wouldn't see anything or anyone. At first, nothing. Just darkness. The glow of streetlights. Rain dripping from the balcony edge. But then my heart stopped cold. A figure, on the opposite side of the street, standing perfectly still. Not moving. Not walking. Just watching. The distance made it impossible to recognize the face. But the posture, still, rigid, deliberate, felt sinister. I froze. They were facing my window. Me. Alexandra. I stepped back immediately, letting the curtain fall, breath caught in my throat. No. Was this real? Was this someone messing with me? Was this a stalker? A neighbor? A stranger? Or worst of all, was it someone who knew about my secret? My mind spun so fast it felt like falling. I hurried back into the bedroom, almost tripping on the heels but catching myself against the wall. My reflection in the mirror was a mess, beauty breaking under fear. My lipstick slightly smeared, my wig slightly shifted, my chest rising and falling too fast to control. Okay, breathe, I whispered, gripping the dresser so hard my bracelets jangled violently. Think, Alex. Focus. This could be coincidence. This could be anything. But my heart didn't believe it. I glanced at the photograph again from across the room. It was too deliberate, too personal, too timed, too targeted. Someone knew. Someone had been following me. Someone was outside. My phone lit up again. This time, it was Isabella. Hey, I'm almost there. Don't fall asleep yet, almost there. Almost here. Almost home. My head spun. Isabella coming. A stranger outside. A photo from months ago. My secret exposed. And I was standing here in a dress, wig, makeup, stockings, high heels. Alexandra in full form. With no time to clean up. Every possible danger crashed into the same terrifying reality at once. Isabella could walk in and see everything. The stalker could still be outside. The photograph could mean I'd been watched for months. My hands shook uncontrollably. And yet, deep inside the panic, one part of me, fragile but undeniable, whispered, Maybe this is who I'm meant to be seen as. But there was no time left for identity. No time for reflection. There was only the growing storm closing in from all sides. Isabella, the stranger outside, the photograph, and me, caught between two selves. Tonight wasn't just about cross-dressing. Tonight was about survival. The apartment felt too quiet. So quiet it made every little sound suspicious. The ticking clock, the hum of the fridge, the faint rustle of my own dress as I shifted nervously. Alexandra stood in the mirror in full glory, but Alex inside me was panicking. Then I heard it. A soft scrape outside my door. A footstep. Another. Slow, controlled, too familiar. My heart jumped into my throat. Isabella. But she wasn't supposed to be home this early. She never came home this early on a Thursday. Her shift at the cafe always ran late. Why today? Why now, when I was the most vulnerable I had ever been? My hands shot to the wig instinctively, ready to rip it off, but then I froze. Something inside me whispered, "Don't run yet." A strange, bold thrill pulsed through me. Alexandra wasn't ready to vanish. But Alex? He was sweating bullets. The hallway outside creaked again. My breath hitched. I took 3 tiny steps backward in my heels, the click sound of each step echoing too loudly in the silent apartment. I wanted to hide, but my feet felt glued to the floor. Another footstep, this time right outside my bedroom door. I swallowed hard. Was I hearing things? Was she really home? Did she forget her keys and climb in through the balcony again like she used to? I listened closely. Silence. But silence was worse. Silence meant someone was standing still, listening, waiting. My phone buzzed suddenly on the table, making me jump so hard I almost twisted my ankle. A message from Isabella. "Alex? You home? Your lights are on." I froze. Lights on? Did she see the glow from the street? Did she try the door? My fingers shook as I typed back. Just reached home.
Why?
You left early? I prayed she didn't hear the heels clicking when I moved. Seconds passed. No response. The silence was suffocating. My fingers twitched at my dress, smoothing imaginary wrinkles. My mascara suddenly felt too thick. My lipstick too bright. Every inch of Alexandra felt like a spotlight exposing a secret I'd spent years burying. Then, a knock.
Soft.
2 taps. My knees nearly gave out. Alex. Her voice. Right outside. She sounded close, far too close, like she was leaning against the door. "I forgot my wallet," she said. Her tone was calm.
Too calm.
And I thought I heard something inside.
Damn. Damn. Damn.
My mind scrambled. How did she hear something? I wasn't loud. Just walking, breathing. Unless she had been outside longer than I realized. Maybe she had been standing behind the door while I clicked around in heels. Maybe she heard everything. My throat went dry. I whispered to myself, "Remove the wig. Remove everything. Hide it.
Now."
But when I reached up, my hand stopped. I couldn't. Not yet. Not while adrenaline pumped through me like fire. Not while the danger was this close. Not while Alexandra, my forbidden, fragile self, was still standing with trembling confidence. But the knock came again, firmer this time. "Alex, I know you're in there." Her voice. Something was off. Not angry. Not confused. Not even surprised. Almost amused. My stomach twisted. What did she know? What did she see? What was happening? I tried to speak, but my voice cracked. 1 second. I called out, too high-pitched, almost feminine. I slapped a hand over my mouth.
Shit.
S-H-I-T. My voice had never sounded like that, not even by accident. Isabella would hear that and instantly know something was wrong. Another buzz from my phone. A text. I opened it, heart hammering. "Why are you speaking like that?" "Open the door." The room spun. Air left my lungs. She heard. She definitely heard. I staggered toward the dresser, grabbing tissues, makeup wipes, anything, but my hands were shaking so violently I kept dropping everything. Lipstick smeared. Mascara smudged. My wig slipped sideways but stayed on. The panic made everything worse. I glanced at the mirror. I looked like Alexandra caught in headlights, half glamorous, half terrified. Another text came through. Alex, or should I say something else? I saw the shadow through the glass. My blood ran cold. Shadow. Through the frosted glass beside the door. She saw the silhouette, the hair,
The dress.
the unmistakable shape I kept hidden from everyone. I stepped back, breath shaking hard enough to make my chest rise visibly. Footsteps outside. No more knocking. Just waiting. Alex, she said softly, almost whispering through the crack. I promise I won't get mad. Her voice dropped to a tone I had never heard before. A mix of curiosity and something darker. But I need to see you. I need to see the truth. My heart nearly exploded. I whispered, this can't be happening. But it was happening. The door handle twitched. She was trying to open it. I stumbled backward, nearly tripping over my heels, my breath ragged, my chest tightening. Alex, open the door, she said, firmer this time. Something in me broke. The fear, the thrill,
The shame.
the excitement, all crashing together. I placed my trembling hand on the doorknob, counted to 3, and slowly, I turned it. The door opened, and Isabella's eyes widened at the sight of me. The elevator doors slid open with a mechanical groan, spilling me into the dimly lit parking garage beneath my office building. The echoing emptiness swallowed my footsteps instantly. My nerves were already frayed, but the cold air down here made them snap even tighter. The transformation had happened upstairs, alone in an empty conference room. Alexandra fully formed under harsh fluorescent lights. The wig,
The dress.
the heels, the makeup that made my heart race. I thought I had time. I thought everyone had gone home. But fate had other plans. The tapping of heels, my heels, clicked unevenly on the concrete floor as I rushed toward my car. My hands were shaking so badly that the car keys jingled loudly, betraying every ounce of panic inside me. I needed to get home before anyone saw me, especially Isabella. But as I stepped between the rows of parked cars, my phone buzzed aggressively in my purse. I froze. Message from Isabella. Where are you? Your office said you left early. Left early?
Who told her that?
Why was she asking? My stomach twisted. My pulse thundered. I typed back with trembling fingers. Just out. Running an errand.
A lie.
Another one. But before I could take another step, a shadow moved across the far wall.
Long.
Slow. Human. My breath caught in my throat. Was someone else here? I scanned the garage, heart hammering. The overhead lights flickered, humming softly, but the cars around me stood silently, like metal giants. I clutched my purse tighter, every instinct screaming to run. Then I heard it. Footsteps. Not mine.
Steady.
Purposeful. Coming closer. I turned sharply. A figure emerged from behind a gray SUV, moving with practiced calm. Isabella. My soul nearly left my body. She wasn't supposed to be here. Not here.
Not now.
Not like this. Her eyes locked onto mine immediately, not suspicious at first, but searching. Focused. Too focused. She took in the heels, the dress, the wig, the makeup. Her pupils widened slightly, and her lips parted, but she didn't speak. Not yet. I felt exposed under those garage lights, as if the entire world had turned into a spotlight that pinned Alexandra to the concrete floor. I wasn't expecting you, I stuttered, my voice trembling between Alex and Alexandra. She took a slow step toward me. Clearly, she said, voice calm, too calm. The kind of calm that hides a storm. My throat tightened. My knees nearly buckled. I tried to speak again, to explain, to lie, anything. But she lifted her hand, stopping me. No more excuses, she whispered. No more hiding. Her eyes scanned me again, taking in everything, every curl of my wig, every inch of my dress, every trembling breath. My heart thudded so loudly, I thought she could hear it echo through the garage. I saw your reflection earlier, Isabella said. In the elevator doors. My stomach dropped.
She saw.
She already knew. She didn't come here by accident. She came because she wanted answers. She moved closer, her heels clicking sharply against the concrete. Each step felt like a countdown. You tried to avoid me the whole day, she continued softly. You never avoid me. I swallowed, unable to look her in the eye. She stopped just a foot away from me, close enough to feel her breath, close enough for the truth to burn between us. Alex, she murmured. Then her eyes drifted downward.
To this.
Her gaze swept over Alexandra, my secret self, standing in the raw, cold light of the garage. My voice cracked as I whispered, I didn't want you to see me like this. She tilted her head gently, studying me with a mixture of disbelief, curiosity, and something deeper I couldn't decipher. And yet here you are, she said quietly, standing right in front of me. I felt the sting of tears forming, blurring the edges of my vision. I never meant for anyone to find out, I said. It's not a joke. It's not a game.
It's just me.
Her expression softened for the first time, but only for a moment. Then she stepped even closer, so close I could smell her perfume. Her voice dropped low. Dangerous. Unpredictable. I didn't just find you, Alex. She reached into her bag. My breath stopped completely. She pulled out her phone, screen glowing, and turned it toward me. A video. A recording.
Me.
In full Alexandra form. In the office earlier. Walking. Adjusting my dress. Completely unaware of the camera. I felt my entire world crash down. She whispered, I followed you. I watched you. I recorded everything.
My voice shattered.
Isabella, why? Her lips curved into a slow, unreadable smile. Because, she whispered, stepping close enough that our faces nearly touched. If you're living a double life, her breath warm on my cheek, I deserve to know which one is the real you. My knees went weak. She reached out. Her fingers touched my wig, and she said, let's find out the truth together. The moment Isabella's fingers brushed the edge of my wig, the entire parking garage seemed to tilt. The concrete floor beneath my heels felt unstable, like it might crack open and swallow me whole. Her touch wasn't rough, but it wasn't gentle either. It was deliberate, controlled, calculated. A test. Her eyes studied my reaction closely, almost clinically. Would I flinch? Would I break? Would Alexandra disappear the moment she touched the illusion? I didn't move. I couldn't. My breath lodged in my throat as the cold, damp air wrapped around us, heavy with tension. The faint hum of overhead lights buzzed like an electric warning. You've crossed a line you can't step back from. Isabella withdrew her hand, but the ghost of her touch lingered like fire on my scalp. So, she said softly, her voice echoing across the rows of sleeping cars, this is who you've been hiding. I tried to speak, but the words tangled on my tongue, trapped between Alex and Alexandra. Her gaze remained fixed on me, intense, unreadable. Not angry, not shocked. Something far more dangerous. Curiosity, mixed with power. Isabella, please, I whispered. Please what? She interrupted sharply. Please forget what I saw. Please pretend you aren't standing here in a dress and makeup. Please act like I don't have video proof. The echo of her voice bounced through the empty garage, each word hitting harder than the last. I swallowed, my throat burning. I never wanted you to see me like this, I said, voice trembling. She stepped closer again, close enough that I could feel her breath brush against my cheek. And why not? She asked. Because you're ashamed, or because you're afraid of what I'll do with it? My heart lurched. Isabella, it's not like that. Her lips curved into a faint smile that made my stomach twist. Oh, it's exactly like that. You're terrified. She tapped her phone screen. And you should be. The video paused on a frame of me fixing my wig in the reflection of a glass door. Seeing it through her eyes made everything worse. So much worse. She took a deep breath and straightened her posture. What I want, she said slowly, is the truth. Her voice wasn't loud, but it was firm in a way that hit me harder than yelling ever could. Who are you really? Alex or Alexandra? The garage fell silent except for the distant drip of water from a leaking pipe. My pulse roared in my ears. I'm both, I whispered. For a long time,
I didn't know how to say it.
or if I should say it, or if anyone would understand. Her expression softened. Not much, but enough to make hope crack through the fear. Why didn't you tell me? She asked quietly. I swallowed the lump in my throat. Because this part of me, it's fragile. And I was scared you'd look at me differently. Or leave me. Or think I was a joke. She stared at me for a long, agonizing moment. Then she stepped back. Not far, just enough to look at me fully, from head to heels. Her eyes moved slowly, analyzing everything. The curve of the dress. The shimmer of the lipstick. The false lashes trembling with each breath. The fear etched across my face. You look different like this, she said finally. My heart stopped. But not how I expected. The sentence dangled, unfinished, unbearable. I forced myself to speak. What do you mean? A small exhale left her lips, half disbelief, half amusement. You look comfortable. The air froze around us. You look like someone who isn't pretending, she continued. And that scares me more than you hiding it. Why? I asked. Her voice dropped lower, trembling slightly. Because it means I never really knew you. Her words cut deeper than anything she had said before. She looked away for a moment, processing her own emotions, and when her eyes returned to mine, they were sharper, pained, but curious. Show me, she said suddenly. I blinked. Show you what? She crossed her arms, studying my reaction closely. Show me who Alexandra really is. Her gaze locked onto mine. Right now. No hiding. No excuses. My knees nearly buckled. You want me to? Yes, she said firmly. I want to see you. The real you. Not the scared version. Not the caught version. The true one. The request sent a shockwave through me. The heels felt heavier. The makeup felt warmer. The dress felt tighter. This was no longer about being caught. This was exposure.
Raw. Direct.
Undeniable. I inhaled shakily. What if you don't like what you see? She stepped closer again, so close our foreheads almost touched. Then at least I'll be reacting to the truth, she whispered. Not to the lie you've been living. My chest tightened. Alexandra trembled inside me. Terrified. Thrilled.
Alive.
I closed my eyes and let out a long breath. Then slowly, deliberately, I straightened my posture. Shoulders back. Head high. Hips aligned. Hands still. Exactly like Alexandra would stand if she weren't afraid. When I opened my eyes, Isabella's expression changed instantly. The tension in her face shifted. Her lips parted. She stared not with judgment, but with shock. And something else. Something like recognition. You, she whispered, breath hitching. You're really her. For the first time tonight, I didn't correct her. I didn't apologize. I didn't hide. Yes, I said softly. I am. She stepped back, eyes wide, expression shaken. The phone slipped slightly in her hand. Alex, what am I supposed to do with this? She whispered. And that fragile, trembling question, became the spark that lit the fuse for everything that came next. Isabella's question hung in the cold air like a blade suspended above us. What am I supposed to do with this? Her voice trembled, not with anger, not with disgust, but with the weight of a truth she hadn't been prepared to hold. I stood there, heels shaking, mascara barely holding together, watching her face shift through emotions I couldn't name. Shock, confusion,
Curiosity.
hurt, wonder, but not hate. Never hate. She took a slow step back and leaned against the hood of a nearby car, as if her knees needed support. The garage lights flickered overhead, casting flashes of white across her face. Isabella, I whispered, careful with every syllable. You're not supposed to do anything. She shook her head quickly.
No.
That's not true. Her eyes snapped up, sharp with raw honesty. You dumped this on me, without even meaning to. You didn't trust me enough to tell me. You are living an entire life behind my back. I felt the sting in every word. But you don't understand, I said softly. I didn't hide this from you, because I didn't trust you. I hid it, because I didn't trust myself. That made her pause. Her lips parted, then closed again, like she didn't know how to respond. I thought it was something shameful. I continued, voice trembling. Something wrong. Something too complicated to explain. Something you wouldn't want to be part of. She rubbed her forehead, exhaling sharply. I'm trying to wrap my head around this, Alex. I really am. Hearing my name, Alex, not Alexandra, not anything else, cut through me like glass. But then she looked at me again. This time longer.
Deeper.
Like she was searching for an answer in my face. Come here, she said quietly. I stepped closer, heels clicking timidly across the concrete until I was standing right in front of her again. She looked at me the way someone studies a puzzle, patient, cautious, but determined to understand. Her eyes softened as they traveled over me. Not just over the clothes, but over me. Do you like this? She asked, voice barely above a whisper. The clothes? The makeup? The whole transformation? Yes, I said. Because lying now would be pointless. Because my heart wouldn't let me. And how long? She asked. How long have you felt like this? I swallowed the truth. A long time. And finally, she nodded slowly, almost invisibly, almost reluctantly. Then she pushed off the car and walked in a slow circle around me. It felt like an evaluation. Not cruel, but intense, meticulous. My pulse thudded so hard I felt it in my wrists. You walk differently, she said quietly. Your shoulders, your hips, even your breathing changes. It's not intentional, I whispered. She hummed softly. I know. When she stopped behind me, I felt her presence more than I heard her. Her breath brushed the back of my neck. A shiver ran down my spine. Then, her fingers slid across the zipper of my dress. I froze. Not out of fear, but because I had no idea what she was about to do. She didn't pull it. She didn't tug it open or rip it. She just rested her hand there. A quiet, grounded touch. Alex. Her voice was soft, almost sad. I don't know how to feel. My stomach nodded. I'm not angry, she said quickly. I just feel lied to, even if you didn't say the lie out loud. I nodded, tears stinging my eyes. I never wanted to hurt you. She walked around to face me again.
But you did, she said.
And I need time to process this. The words hit like cold water. She wasn't leaving, but she wasn't staying the same either. I lowered my head, unable to meet her eyes. But Isabella wasn't done. Look at me. I lifted my chin slowly. Her eyes searched mine, angry, confused, heartbroken, but still filled with something warm underneath it all. I'm not going to destroy you, she said. I'm not going to shame you. I'm not going to use that video to hurt you. A breath escaped my lungs, half relief, half disbelief. But I am going to ask you one thing, she continued. Her jaw tightened. And you're going to answer honestly. I nodded. Do you want to be Alexandra just sometimes? She stepped closer. Or all the time? The question slammed into my chest. I wasn't ready for that. Not tonight.
Not like this.
I don't know, I whispered painfully. I'm still figuring that part out. She let out a slow breath. Okay. Then, she held up her phone again. The paused video stared back at us. This, she said softly, isn't something I can just ignore. My breath caught. But, she added, I'm not going to make decisions in anger. I need clarity first. My heart thudded. What kind of clarity? I asked. She gave a small, unreadable smile. The kind I only get when I see things for myself. Before I could respond, she pressed the play button, and the sound of me, heels clicking across the office floor, dress swaying, echoed through the garage. She watched,
silently,
studying everything. When the video ended, she locked her phone and held it tightly. Then she looked at me with a gaze that made my knees shake. Alex. She stepped close again, barely an inch away. I'm not done figuring out how I feel. I swallowed hard. Isabella. She placed a finger on my lips. But I know one thing, she whispered. My heart stopped. I'm not letting you walk away from this conversation. She leaned in until her breath warmed my cheek. Not until I decide what happens next. And that final, terrifying, electrifying sentence was the spark that sent the night spiraling into even deeper danger. The moment Isabella said, "Not until I decide what happens next," my entire world tightened around me like a fist. The parking garage suddenly felt too quiet, too open, too exposed. And yet, Isabella's presence was the only thing I could focus on. Her eyes held mine, sharp and unblinking, as if she were peeling back every layer I'd built around myself. Not Alex. Not Alexandra. Just me, the tangled mess stuck between both. She stepped closer, closing the final inches of space between us. Her perfume, soft vanilla with a hint of jasmine, wrapped around me like a trap I didn't want to escape. "Don't run," she whispered. My breath hitched. "I'm not," I said. "Good," she murmured, "because you don't get to run anymore." She turned her head slightly, studying my expression with almost predatory focus. And that's when everything shifted. This wasn't Isabella the girlfriend. This was Isabella the strategist. The woman who hated being lied to. The woman who always searched for truth, even the ugly kind. Her voice lowered. "Take a breath." I did. Now another. I obeyed again. She nodded once, satisfied, like she had regained control of a situation that shouldn't have spiraled in the first place. "Alex," she began, then caught herself. Her eyes traced the curve of my eyeliner, the contour, the glossy lips. "No," she corrected gently. "You're Alexandra right now, aren't you?" The name fell from her lips with a strange softness. Heavy, dangerous, intimate. I swallowed. "Yes." "Good." Her tone sharpened like a blade. "Then I want Alexandra to answer me. Not Alex. Not the scared version. The real version." My spine tingled with nerves. She paced slowly around me, heels clicking, becoming the gravity of the moment, the one pulling every emotion toward her. "Do you feel guilty?" she asked. I blinked. "About what?" "About hiding this," she said, gesturing lightly to my dress. My boyfriend, my partner, was living a double life. And I didn't even know I was dating two people. I opened my mouth, then closed it, the truth burning hotter with every second. "Yes," I whispered. "I feel guilty every day." She nodded slowly, absorbing the honesty. "Do you feel ashamed?" I paused longer this time. The word lodged in my throat, heavy, painful. "Sometimes." She inhaled sharply.
"And right now?"
"Dressed like this?" Standing in front of me. I met her eyes.
"No," I said.
For the first time, no. Something flickered in her gaze. A crack. A break. A tiny fracture in her armor. "Then why," she said, stepping closer again, "does it feel like I'm meeting a stranger?" Her voice shook on the last word, only slightly but enough to hit me like a punch. "Because I didn't know how to tell you," I said. "I didn't know if you'd still want me." She flinched. "That's not fair," she whispered. I froze. "You didn't trust me enough to even try," she continued. "And now I'm standing here watching you look."
"God."
Her voice trembled again. So comfortable. So natural. So different. Her words wrapped around me like smoke. She lifted her hand.
Slowly, cautiously.
She brushed a strand of my wig behind my ear, as delicately as someone handling something fragile. "You don't look like a joke," she whispered. "You don't look confused." Her fingers lingered on my cheek. "You look like someone who's been hiding too long." My chest tightened. "And I'm trying," she said. "I'm trying to understand what that means for us." The us shattered something inside me. "I'm still me," I said desperately. Her eyes narrowed. "Are you?" she asked. "Because I can't tell anymore if the person I love is standing in front of me, or if Alexandra is someone completely new. Her words sliced through me, and for a moment I couldn't breathe. "I'm still yours," I whispered. Isabella exhaled shakily. "Then prove it." My blood went cold. How? She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she reached into her purse and pulled out something familiar. My phone, unlocked, with the front camera open. She held it up. The screen reflected back the image of Alexandra. Flushed cheeks, glossy lips, teary eyes, trembling posture.
"Look," she said.
I stared. My breath caught. "Tell me," she said quietly. "What do you see?" I swallowed. "I see me." She tilted her head. "Alex or Alexandra?" "Both." She stared long and hard. Then, in a move that sent chills across my entire body, she slipped my phone into her purse and locked it. "Isabella?" I whispered. She crossed her arms. "If you're both," she said slowly, "then I'm not losing Alex tonight. And I'm not letting Alexandra disappear either." I froze. What do you mean?" She stepped forward until her face was inches from mine, her voice trembling with uncertainty and authority at the same time. "I decide who comes home with me tonight." My breath stopped. Her next sentence hit like thunder. "And I'm not sure if I'm choosing Alex or Alexandra." My knees nearly buckled. "Wait, Isabella, please." Her hand rose again, silencing me.
"No."
Her voice was soft but unshakable. "This time you don't get to run. You don't get to hide. You don't get to choose for me." Tears burned behind my eyes. "You said you wanted the truth?" she whispered. I nodded weakly.
"Good," she said.
"Because now I want something back." My heart pounded. "What?" Her eyes locked onto mine with devastating clarity.
"I want honesty," she said.
"Every piece of it. Tonight.
Right now."
The world tilted. "What do you want me to do?" I asked. Her answer came like fire. "Show me everything you've been hiding." And just like that, the night stopped being about being caught and became about being revealed. Not louder, not fuller, just tighter. Like every wall leaned an inch closer every time I breathed. The air was thick, filled with the perfume cloud I'd created earlier. Sweet, feminine, dangerous. It wrapped around me like invisible ribbons, reminding me of what I had just done, what I was still doing. I stood in front of the tall dressing mirror fixed inside Isabella's childhood bedroom, staring at someone I didn't fully recognize. The girl in the reflection wasn't just a dressed-up version of me. She was someone entirely different. Her hair, my hair, was curled softly, falling over her shoulders like dark silk. Her eyelashes fluttered when she blinked, long and dramatic. A thin chain rested against her collarbone, the tiny pendant shining like a secret. The dress, too tight, too risky, shaped her body into curves I didn't have but suddenly felt. My heart thudded. Not out of fear, because she looked real. And that terrified me more than anything. I lifted a hand to touch the mirror, but the girl beat me to it, her fingertips touching mine from the other side. And for one terrifying, thrilling second, I couldn't tell who was copying who. "God," I whispered, my voice trembling. "What am I doing?" But the mirror didn't answer. It only seduced. My legs wobbled in the heels, damn heels, black, glossy, the type Isabella wore only when she wanted attention. I'd slipped them on for fun earlier, but now they felt like part of me. Each step clicked sharply against the wooden floor, echoing through the quiet house. The sound was intoxicating. Too intoxicating. I felt bold for the first time in hours, so I stepped closer to the mirror and ran my fingers through the hair, twisting a curl. My face felt warm under the layers of foundation, blush, and the slightest shimmer Isabella kept for special occasions. Was today a special occasion? Maybe for her, she just didn't know it yet. I took another step, then another, walking back and forth in the room, watching my reflection follow. The sway of my hips wasn't intentional at first. But the more I walked, the more my body followed the feminine rhythm the heels forced me into. I shouldn't enjoy this. I shouldn't feel this alive. But damn it,
I did.
I tried to look away from the mirror, but my gaze snapped back like a magnet. My chest tightened as I whispered to myself, "Is this who I really am?" A knock echoed from downstairs. I froze. Not Isabella. She wouldn't knock on her own door. Someone else. Someone unexpected. My blood turned to ice. I rushed to the window, heels clicking like little alarms, and peeked through the curtain.
A car. Silver. Clean.
Familiar. My stomach dropped. Isabella's cousin, Maya. The one who lived just 15 minutes away. The one who loved dropping by unannounced. The one who never stopped questioning Isabella about why she stayed with a boring guy like me.
No. No, no, no.
Anyone but her. The front gate clicked. She was coming in. I grabbed the curtain and held it against my chest, hiding as if it could make me invisible. My breath came out shaky and thin. My mind raced with 100 terrible outcomes. If Maya saw me like this, if she even caught a glimpse, I'd be finished. Not just my relationship, my dignity, my entire life. I stumbled backward, nearly falling as the heel caught on the carpet. My hands flew to the dress zipper, but the damn thing was stuck. It wouldn't move. My fingers shook too much to grip it properly. "No, please, come on," I hissed under my breath, yanking it again. Footsteps outside. Then the house door opened.
Shit.
I dashed to the vanity, wiping off lipstick with the back of my hand. It only smeared, bleeding across my cheek like smeared paint. I grabbed a tissue but dropped it. The room felt too small, too hot, too suffocating. From downstairs, Maya called out, "Isabella? You home?" Her voice floated up the staircase, like smoke. I panicked harder. I grabbed a makeup wipe, scrubbing at my face. Too fast, too rough. My skin burned. The foundation streaked. Mascara smudged under my eyes like dark teardrops. More footsteps. She was coming up. I tried to kick off the heels, but one wouldn't come off. My foot got stuck, the buckle twisted. I hopped on one foot, nearly crashing into the dresser. "Isabella?" Her voice was louder now. Closer. Just outside the hall. The dress clung to me like a trap. The wig, no, my hair, looked unmistakably styled. I was out of time. My heart pounded so violently I felt it in my throat. I scanned the room. Nowhere to hide. Nowhere to run. All I could do was stand there, half-wiped makeup, stuck heel, dress zipped halfway down, and pray the universe took pity on me. The door handle moved. I swallowed hard. This was it. The moment everything could explode. The door creaked open. And then, wait. A whisper escaped me before I realized I'd spoken. Not a plea. Not a cry. But a realization. A terrifying realization. I didn't want to hide. Not completely. Not anymore. Part of me wanted Maya to see me.
To really see me.
To confirm the truth the mirror had hinted at. Maybe this. Maybe she. Wasn't just a secret. Maybe she was who I was becoming. The handle turned. The door inched open. And everything went still. The door cracked open. Just an inch. But an inch was enough to change everything. I held my breath so hard my chest ached. My heart wasn't beating normally anymore. It was slamming against my ribs like it wanted out. The heel stuck on my foot wobbled dangerously. The half-smeared makeup burned on my skin. The half-unzipped dress hung off my shoulder. I stood frozen.
Exposed.
Half-transformed. Half-caught. And then, hello. Not Maya's voice. Not Isabella's voice. Something worse.
Deeper. Male. Confused.
I felt my blood run cold. Isabella's brother. Daniel. The one who hated me. The one who thought I wasn't man enough for his sister. The one who always promised he'd keep an eye on me.
I didn't even know he was in town.
The door pushed open further, slowly, like in a horror movie where the monster takes its time. His silhouette filled the doorway. Broad shoulders, tall frame, military straight posture. "Why is the door open?" he muttered, mostly to himself. I backed up instinctively, my heel clicking loudly against the floor. He heard it. His head snapped up. "Who's in here?" My mouth went dry. My mind screamed 1,000 excuses, but none reached my tongue. I grabbed a throw blanket from the bed and pulled it in front of me like a flimsy shield, but it was useless. My legs were fully exposed, smooth, feminine, trembling. Daniel stepped inside. Not rushed, not panicked, just certain. He scanned the room with sharp eyes before landing on me. At first, confusion. Then disbelief. Then something much worse, recognition. You, he said, voice sharp as a knife. I felt myself break. Just shatter internally. This was the nightmare moment. The one I'd rehearsed avoiding a million times but never truly believed would happen. He took another step, and I stepped back, heel wobbling again. What the hell are you wearing? His voice wasn't angry. Not yet. It was controlled. Cold. The way someone sounds right before they explode. I opened my mouth, but only a small, broken sound escaped. I can explain. He raised a hand to silence me. Where is Isabella? I don't know, she went out, please, Daniel, just. But he wasn't listening. His eyes moved down my body, slowly, calculating, and I felt naked under his stare. The styled hair, the smudged lipstick, the dangly earrings I'd forgotten I put on, the dress gripping my waist, the single stubborn heel. His jaw clenched. Does she know? He asked. That question hit harder than a slap. Does Isabella know? Does Isabella know who you really are? Does Isabella know you're doing this in her house? Does Isabella know what you've been hiding? My silence was its own confession. Daniel breathed out sharply, disbelief turning to something darker. You're sick, he muttered. My gut twisted. No, Daniel, it's not. He stepped closer. I stepped back again. Too far, my ankle twisted, and I stumbled onto the edge of the bed. The blanket slipped, revealing more of the dress. His eyes widened. Stop, I whispered, holding up a shaking hand. But he didn't stop. He looked disappointed.
No. Disgusted.
I need to call her, he said, pulling out his phone. My heart exploded in panic.
No.
Please, Daniel, don't. I launched forward, but the heel made me stumble again. I grabbed his wrist desperately. Please just wait. Let me explain before you ruin everything. He stared at me like I was something fragile and pathetic. And maybe I was. You think I won't tell her? He said softly, dangerously. You think I'm going to help you hide this? His thumb hovered over Isabella's name on the screen. Everything in me collapsed. My eyes burned. My breathing hitched. I felt that awful, humiliating sting of tears rising. Daniel, my voice cracked. If she finds out like this, without hearing me, she'll leave me. He didn't blink. He didn't soften. But he didn't press the call button either. The silence between us was suffocating. He finally spoke, voice lower now, but no less threatening. What exactly are you to her? Because I don't think even you know. The words stabbed deep. I swallowed, chin trembling. Please, I whispered. Give me one chance to explain. Just one.
His jaw tightened.
His grip on the phone tightened. His stare hardened. Everything in the world paused. Then, a sound shattered the silence. A familiar sound. The front door opening downstairs. Keys clinking. A voice humming. Isabella. Daniel slowly turned toward the hallway. I felt the ground fall out from under me. No escape. No hiding. No time. Daniel looked back at me, eyes sharp, unreadable, and whispered, "This is your problem now." Then he stepped aside, leaving the doorway open, leaving me exposed, leaving me seconds away from destruction. I could hear Isabella's footsteps climbing the stairs, each one louder, closer,
faster.
My breath trembled. My legs shook. My heart felt like it might stop entirely. I stood alone, half-dressed, half-made up, half-destroyed. Her shadow appeared at the top step. Her voice called, "Babe, you up here?" I opened my mouth, but no sound came out. The final heel slipped off my foot and clattered to the floor. The sound echoed like a gunshot. Isabella stopped. What was that? One more step. One more second. One more breath. And she would see everything. The truth. The secret. The girl I became. The girl I might be. The door creaked as she pushed it open. I squeezed my eyes shut. And the story ends here.